Good day.
Good morning. How are you?
Wow, so awesome.
Okay.
So you're saying, what did you say?
We're on Nun Hey. Nun Hey Amid Aleph. 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, not 5, not 6, 8 lines from the top. It goes like this. Tanur Rabbanan.
And hey,
Nun Hey Amid Aleph. And it's 8 lines down. Tanur Rabbanan. The Rabbanan taught in the Bais. Always like Reb Shir again says. Tanur Rabbanan, it's a Bais that was edited by Rabbi and Rabbi. So it's an important brisa. Tarmin teinim ala gregors b'makom shugim lasis teinim. If I have figs, and I have to give truma, so figs are fresh and figs are dried. So if you have both of them, can you take truma from one of the other? Now there's an advantage of fresh figs; they taste better. There's an advantage of dried figs that they last longer. So the rule is that you can take truma and give it to the kohen from the fresh figs, and you're going to be taking, let's say, they see the dried figs, they shrink in size. So to over half, they shrink to over half the size. So you're going to be, over here you're not taking by size. Over here you're taking by item. So if you're taking 10 items, let's say, that's not how truma works, but let's say you're taking 10 figs, it would need to be let's say you have taken 2 figs, truma would be 2 out of 100, trei mimeh, truma, trei mimeh. You're taking 2 figs, 2 fresh figs out of, and you're leaving 98 dried figs. Okay. Now, you were only allowed to do this in places that they dry figs there. If they don't dry figs there, then there's a problem. The Gemara is going to discuss this. But you're not allowed to take 2 dried figs, even if all your other figs could potentially become dried and turned into dried figs. You're not allowed to do that. You're taking too little, because they're much smaller. They're dry. Amar Mar. We've been working on Amar Mar, trying to figure out when does the Gemara use Gufa, when does the Gemara use Amar Mar. So our theory was that whenever we're discussing a Brisa, it says Amar Mar, and whenever it discusses something from Amiram, it says Gufa. But so far it's been working. So Amar Mar, the master said, this is how we re-examine what the Brisa said. We said that Tarmentenim ala gregors b'makom shregil lasis teinim, that yes, you are allowed to take truma from fresh figs on gregors, but only in places that they make the teinim gregors. B'makom shregil lasis teinim gregors. Now the Gemara is medayik. The Gemara deduces from this. B'makom sheregilim in, b'makom she'ein regilim loy. This is only in places that you're allowed, that people make fresh figs, dried figs. It may have to do with the temperature, the climate, and that. But Rashi just says that if there's people there that do it, then you're allowed to. The Gemara doesn't understand why is this so. Like, what's exactly the scenario? It says Hey Chidami. What is the scenario? What's the case? Ide ika kayin. Do you have kayinim there? Again, you're taking fresh figs. And you're only allowed to do that if people would dry them. If you have a kayin there, so makom shein ragil amayloi. What's the difference if people dry them there or not? You have a kayin, just give it directly to the kayin. Maybe there's no kayin in the city. And it says no. If there is a kayin, then you give it directly to the kayin. What would be the problem? And we even have a mishnah. Makom sheyesh kayin toirim min hayafa, that you should take truma from the better ones. See, we have the two options here. We have better ones, and we have ones that last longer. And fresh ones are better. So if there's a kayin, so don't do the one that's preserved. Do the one that's better. Ela pshita, rather it's obvious that the case is the leka kayin. We don't have a kayin there. There's no kayin, so you have to give him.
Not from the new.
You
Not from the
can
fresh
only
ones.
give him fresh figs if there's people there that could dry them.
But if there's no people, then you have to give.
Then
him
you have
the other
to.
ones.
Then you would have to give him the dried figs, but you won't be able to give him by number. You would have to be able to give it by volume. So,
So it's still better to give the new, even though
It's
it's not
better
a
to give the
kohen,
fresh.
a non-kohen,
Well-
than it is to.
Well, we're saying if there's no kayin, then he would be able to take fresh figs, but he would have to be in a place that they would dry them,
Right.
and he would dry them, I guess. The Gemara says, okay, 1 second. So we're talking about, in order to understand this, we have to say it's a case where there's no kayin there, and that's why we need the potential to dry them so that it'll be preserved. Ema seifa. So let's look at the end of the Bais. At the end of the Bais we learned, but you're not allowed to take dried figs on fresh figs. Even in places where they do dry figs, you're not allowed to take the dried figs. You're not allowed to separate the dried figs for truma. Be the leka kayin on my life. There's no kayin, why not? Batanan, we have a mishnah. Makom shein kayin toirim min hamuskayim. You're supposed to take, if there's no kayin, they're supposed to take from the one that's preserved. So we have the diuk of the Reisha contradicts what it says clearly in the Sefer. Right? Mm-hmm. So ela pshita dika kayin. Rather, in the Sefer, there must be that there is a kayin, and that's why we say you can't take dried figs. So the problem is, Reisha deleka kayin, Sefer dika kayin. The Reisha, the first part of the Bais, is talking about where you don't have a kayin. That's why it needs to be in a place where they could dry it. But the Sefer is talking about where there is a kayin, and that's why you're not allowed to give dried figs. The Gemara says, yes, that's exactly what we're talking about. The Bais is divided like that. Reisha deleka kayin, Sefer dika kayin. So we have two separate scenarios, which is difficult to learn because when you read the laws, if the case changes, then the law changes, but it has to tell me the scenarios. It doesn't do that. So we have to understand it from based on the law. Amar of Papa is a very important statement. Papa says, see, when you go through the Gemara, there's certain Amirayim that are, it's very common for them to do certain things. Rav Papa always likes to say that there's no machlekes. He says, whenever there's like a contradiction, right? He says, no, Mara marchada, Mara marchada v'lei pligi. This one's talking in this case, this one's talking in that case, there's really no argument. So here Rav Papa says, look at this, Amar Rav Papa. Shma mina dachkinan amakminin masnisin bitrei taimi. We would rather push and establish our Mishnah with two scenarios, v'lei makmin bitrei tanai, than to put it with two opinions.
Wow.
Because we could have said that there's a machlekes here between the Rabbanan and Rabbi Yehuda and Trumas. If you're supposed to give from the better one, from the tastier one, or from the one that's preserved, we could have said that it's machlekes, but it didn't do that. The Gemara here said that it's
Papa
two
went out of his way
scenarios.
to make shalom.
So yeah, so
Is he a
this
kohen?
is. I don't know of that.
Just wonder.
No, we know Abai also does it very often.
What it says Eretz Zoas Chalav Dvash. What's a Dvash?
Dvash is dates, right? I think Dvash is dates. What does it say on which one is satisfying on Sukkot? It says on the Sukkot, what's considered a meal. I think it says dates. I think dates are the. I keep getting mixed up with figs and dates. Okay. You ready? The Mishnah. We touched this Mishnah before. The Mishnah says, "Kol menachos niloishus bepaishin u'mashamrin shleich mitzvah." The menachos, when you have a carbon minchas, you have flour. We know that almost all the minchas you have to add in oil. So here it says that you also need it with lukewarm water, paishim. But lukewarm water could become chametz. So you have to guard it. It shouldn't become chametz. Now, in the previous Mishnah, we learned that all menachos are matzah, right? That's with the exception of two. So the imech mitzu, and if it does become chametz, we have to edit the Mishnah here. It says it's supposed to be vim hichmitz es shirea, and if the
I'm sorry, Rabbi, was it also 18? When they made Menachos, it was 18 minutes?
Yeah.
Okay.
It probably depends on the temperature and other factors. So, if the remnants of the mincha become chametz, so over b'leis aseh, there's a prohibition. Shneimar, kol mincha shetakriva l'Hashem leisasa chametz. Every mincha that you bring to Hashem should not be made chametz. Then it says v'chayiv. Well, I said shenemar as if that's the pasuk for the shiurah. That's not necessarily so. Shenemar, the pasuk says every mincha that you bring to Hashem should not be chametz. It's not really referring to the shirayim. It's shenemar, as it says in the pasuk, that you have to make sure that it doesn't become chametz. The first part of the mincha, which is what you take the kaimetz from, the scoop that's brought on the altar. That's that over there on that pasuk. It says the pasuk, Asher takrivu l'Hashem leisasa chametz. V'chayiv al lishasa. Lishasa is the kneading of it, varichasa and the arrangement of it, valafiyasa and the baking of it. If it's chametz.
So how does he learn?
I'm sorry.
So how does he learn that the shireh is over?
So very good. So where do we know that from? You see, there's in our Mishnayos there's a period. In our Gemara there's a period. Do you have a period in your Mishnah?
Wait, after...
V'mechmitzu shireh over b'leis aseh. I have a period. Do you have a period? No, there's yours doesn't have.
No.
In this Gemara they put a period, and that's a new sentence because shenemar is like as it says. It's you read it straight through. Here they adjusted it. If you look in Rashi, Rashi says arei shakai. You see that?
Yeah.
Rashi's telling you that the shenemar is not going on the last statement; it's going on the previous statement. So the Gemara asks, what Reb Chaim's asking, Minahani Mili. So we made a statement in the Mishnah. He said that over Laisasei in the Shirayim, but you didn't quote a pasuk for that. So Amar Rish Lakish says the Amar Kra. The pasuk says Loisei Yafe Chametz Chelkam. What the full pasuk is, Loisei Yafe Chametz should not be baked chametz. Chelkam, their portion, Nasati Yosem Yishai, I gave to them from my fire, which is that the Kohanim get a portion of it. Now, you could say Loisei Yafe Chametz Chelkam. Don't make it chametz their portion. What's their portion? The shirayim. But really, there's a comma there. But the Gemara can read it through without the comma. Loisei Yafe Chametz Chelkam. So that's what Rish Lakish is saying. Afilu Chelkam Loisei Yafe Chametz. Even the portion that goes to the Kohanim, which means the shirayim of it, not the kindness that goes on the altar. What gets left should also not be chametz.
So it's just Rish Lakish that holds that he darshans this like this?
Well, here's the thing. Rish Lakish is telling me a source for what the Mishnah says. So where does he get it from? He gets it from whoever he was learning from, Rabbi Yochanan or whatever. It's interesting because Rabbi Yochanan taught Rish Lakish, but many times we have machlekes in Rabbi Yochanan and Rish Lakish, and everyone's wondering like, how does Rish Lakish know anything other than from what Rabbi Yochanan taught him? But apparently there were other teachers there, and Rish Lakish. At one point, Rish Lakish asked Rabbi Yochanan, "Who's this Rav that everyone's talking about?" Rabbi Yochanan says, "Don't you remember? My Rebbe, Rav was there, and there were the fire going from between Rebbe and Rav, and so Rish Lakish was there early. He was there." Okay.
But isn't it based off what it says in Meir? Like when he's bringing it up, he brings it because it compares the chametz, the whole thing, like the kedashim and the chatas ni Hashem.
You saying the Shirayim?
That's the source. No, that's where he brings it from.
Yeah. Okay. But what happened over here is that we have two psukim. One is in Vayikra and one is in Tzav. The pasuk that we quoted in Kol Mincha shetakriv Hashem leisiyasa chametz is in Vayikra. The pasuk that Rish Lakish brings is in the next parsha. It's in Tzav. Parshas Tzav. The Gemara now asks on Rish Lakish. It says, "V'hai lahachi hu diyasa." Rish Lakish, you think that pasuk is free, that you can just make a drush over there? Haimi ba'ilei, look at the Tanya. We need this for what it was taught in a brisa. It says, "Lo yisayafe chametz." Ma talmud laimar. It says you should not make it chametz. What's that pasuk coming to teach? V'alei kvar nemar lo yisayase chametz. We have a pasuk in Vayikra. It says it should not be made chametz. Why do you have to go ahead and repeat it and say it should not be baked chametz? Lefi shenemar lo yisayase chametz, because it says it should not be made chametz, which is the earlier pasuk. Yochel lo yechayev alachas al kulam. Maybe you should only be chayev malchus. One malchus. On all the activities of the mincha. Talmud Laimar, all the services of the mincha. Talmud Laimar leisiyafer. So it says leisiyafer, that you're not chayev malchus just on one, just once. You're chayev malchus on each activity that you need to do with the mincha. Afia bechlal haisa. This is one of the rules. Kol davar shei bechlal v'yatzim min klal olamid. We say it in Rabbi Shmuel in the morning. Afia, baking, was included in leisiyasa chametz. Do not make it. Making is more inclusive. Baking is just one of the details of making. Lama yatzis. Why is it coming out? Lahakashelea. To compare to it. Ma afia miyuchedes. Just like afia is a distinct activity. Shimaisi yechidi. It's a distinct activity. It's unique. V'chayav ala b'fnei atzma. And you're chayav on afia itself. Af ani avi lishasav arichasav v'chol maisi yechidi shaba. I'll also bring in all other individual activities. Knows that on each activity that's important, you're going to be chayav malchus on that activity as well. Lasuya kituf. To include kituf. Kituf is putting a water over the top of it, which makes it look nice, I think. Makes it smooth. That even you're doing that and it's chametz, you'll be chayev on that. So what's our question? We're asking on Rish Lakish. Rish Lakish says that I'll bring you a proof that you're chayev on the shirayim, because it says leisiyaf chametz. Just 1 second. That Bais has been so used, leisiyaf chametz. It's coming to teach me that every activity of the mincha is chayev individually. You can't go and learn more things from it. It's already been used. So his response is, Anan mechelkam kamrinan. I'm not learning from leisiyaf chametz. I'm learning from chelkam, which is the following word in the pasuk. Their portion. And their portion is teaching me that even the shirayim.
So he's saying he's basically it's like almost like a kabbalah. He's saying I'm not taking the whole pasuk. I'm just taking the word.
Right. Yeah. Right. Well, each word it gets darshaned.
Yeah.
We were learning from leisiyafa.
Didn't the Gemara know that?
Oh, that we're learning from Chelkam? Yeah, okay. Sometimes when you learn the Gemara, if you have an answer to that question, then you're much smarter. But if you don't have an answer to that question, then you have to accept the answer. Rashi says it in Megillah, that sometimes the Gemara is leading you onto something else. So it asks the question, but there's an expected answer that's going to have a follow-up, which is, people do this in conversation also. They say, so what do you think? And they're expecting a certain answer, and then they're going to continue with it. So usually in yeshivas, when you learn Gemara, you always say, what's the svaras hamakshan? What was the person thinking before? And then, so what didn't he know? What did he know? That's why the Gemara is complex. That's called the cheshbon of the Gemara. So the Gemara now asks, Ve'ema kula lahachi udasa. But maybe the pasuk is only teaching me what Rish Lakish is saying. That the Shirayim, Leisiaf Chametz Chelkam, maybe it's all only teaching me from Chelkam that the Shirayim should not be Chametz. The Gemara says, Im kein licht of Chelkam Leisiaf Chametz. Then the emphasis would have been on the Shirayim. It would have said first what we're talking about, the subject. My Leisiaf Chametz Chelkam. What does it mean that you should not bake it chametz? And then it says their portion, shametz minei tarti. So from the order, we can learn out two halachas. Okay. Now, we mentioned...
Is this a diktuk, or is this pashut v'chashivus?
So, in truth, we're not able to make drushes. However, the Malbim claims that if you look through all the drushes, you're able to come out with rules of how they were able to make drushes. And he says that he knows some of them. And he writes them in his commentary on Vayikra. He writes some of the rules. And this is one of them, where if you put the subject before the order of the words, he has ways of making drushes. Okay, ve'ema afia the parat barachman al chayev chada. We said, based on the Brisa, that every individual activity is going to be another malchus if there's chametz there. We said even the kituf, even just putting water on the top if it's chametz. But maybe you chayev malchus once for afiyah, and you'd be chayev malchus once for all the other activities. How do you know each activity itself individually is chayev? Einach l'chayev chada akulu. But the other ones you'll be chayev once for all of them. So in the total it will only be 2, not 6 or 7. So the Gemara says, Mishum dahaya davar shaya b'chlal v'yatsa min ha'klal alamed lamed al atzma yatsa lamed al kula yatsa. Something that was part of the rule originally, afiyah, was part of leisiyasa chametz. It leaves the rule. What does it mean, leave the rule? The Torah specifies it. So it's not only coming to teach about itself. It's coming to teach about every part of the rule that it used to be part of. It goes back and tells me that just like Afiyah gets Malchus, each one of them gets Malchus as well.
So can you explain? So you're saying that, so the first one we have the Afiyah, right?
Afiyah used to be part of Leisiyasa Chametz.
Right, and what's the general? The general one is Lo Siyasa?
Yeah, Leisiyasa Chametz.
Right.
Yeah.
It didn't need to say Lo Afiyah. So the fact that it said Lo Afiyah tells us that there's something that's going out of its way to tell us that for a reason.
The fact that Afiyah leaves the general rule,
right,
it's not coming to teach me only about Afiyah.
Right.
That Afiyah gets its own Malchus.
Right.
It has to be teaching me about the whole rule.
Right.
That means it goes back and tells me that every individual thing in this rule.
Oh wow! Gets it for each thing you get Malchus.
Right.
Uh-huh.
So you know we have this. The famous one of this is when it says 7 days you should eat matzah. Then it says 6 days you should eat matzah. So it says the 7th day was part of the rule. The seventh day was part of it. And why does it get left out? To teach me that just like the 7th day is rishus, you really don't need to eat matzah. If you're going to eat bread, it has to be matzah. But if you want, you can eat potatoes and whatever else. It's going to teach me that all 6 days are also only rishus. Besides for the first night, where it says be'erev teichel matzahs. I think it's the same rule. Okay. The Gemara says, 1 second. You're using this rule of kol davar shaya b'chlal. V'yatsa min al klal is coming to teach me all of this. But ve'ema leisiyase klal. Maybe it's a klal uprat. And leisiyafe prat. Klal uprat, ein bechlal al masha befrat. Afiyah in midachrin ulay. That's a very interesting question. How do you know that this is the rule that you should be using at this point? It's how do you know that you should be applying kol davar shaya b'chlal and make everything chayev? Maybe you should use the rule of klal uprat. Afiyah is the klal.
Afiyah is the klal.
I'm sorry. Asiyah is the leisiyas is the klal.
Right.
And afiyah is the prat. And there's a rule. When you ever have a general and then you have a specific detail, so klal uprat ein bechlal alamasha befrat. It's coming to diminish all of those things that it could have been including, and it's telling me that it's only including that one thing. So there's only be one malchus on afiyah, baking at chametz. Amar Rab Abduriki.
So any other type of way? So it's
That means that
excluding what? So
that means that you don't get malchus for arranging the bread that's chametz
but you would get malchus
for kneading it when it's
only
chametz.
for afiyah.
Only for afiyah.
Okay.
So Amar Rav Avturiki, Shum dahavi klal prat hamaruchakim zemizeh, because like you said, Shlomi, you said that one's in Vayikra, one's in Tzav. It's too far apart. It's not a real klal prat. Klal prat is when I have in the same pasuk. B'chol klal prat hamaruchakim zemizeh ein dan noisim b'klal prat. The same pasuk are at least very close. Here it's 2-3 chapters away. Okay. Masav Ravada Barava V'amri La Kedi. Ravada Barava has a question, and some say Kedi has a question. Now Kedi is a big discussion amongst the Talmudic historians if there was a person by the name of Kedi, or if Kedi means anonymous.
Like more?
Kedi is like Bichdi, like for no reason, or like so.
That's
It wouldn't
what
hear it
I
would mean
read it,
that,
that's
how you read it.
Yeah.
That it means like for.
Is this all like it's for a waste?
Oh,
Like,
for a way, okay. So some say that there was a sage by the name of Kedi. And some, what do they say over there? Do they have a note in the article? Beginning of Gittin. There's a big discussion. So Ravada Barava, in Gittin, they have a big discussion with Ravada Barava because Ada ends with an aleph and Ava ends with a hey. And the rule is that whenever you have a Hebrew name, when you write it in, it's always written with a hey at the end.
A Hebrew name.
Hebrew name. And every non-Hebrew name is always written with an aleph at the end. And the simancha, the way to remember this is Ravada Barav.
So Abba is not a Hebrew name?
Well,
Abba is an Aramaic name?
Well, then they ask all the questions.
Ada.
Ada. Here it's Ada. No, he's asking Abba is spelled with a aleph also.
Okay, whatever.
So they ask all the questions and they say, what's the difference, Rava and Rabba?
Yeah.
So anyway.
Is this part of the Gemara in Gittin?
No, in the Hilchas Gittin.
Oh.
But Kedi is the first page of Gittin you have over there, Kedi.
Yeah.
So they have a question on this. If it's distant, the general and the specific, it can't be go along with that rule. V'hatanya, that you slaughtered it. Chatasu. It's a chatas. Which sacrifice is this? This is a sir of a king.
This is a specific chatas. In other words, you wouldn't bring any chatas.
No,
Well,
normally a chatas is shechted on the north, exactly where the oila is shechted. It's shechted on the north.
Right.
Okay. So, but it says by this chatas, by the oila, by the chatas of the sin of a nasi, it says that you slaughtered it. Where is the oila slaughtered? Batzafin. So avzeh batzafin. We also know that this is batzafin. So he's quoting a brisa. We learn. We're learning from this pasuk. Like Kfar Ne'amar, we have another a pasuk. Another pasuk. It's not. It says Kfar Ne'amar, but it's another pasuk. It's actually a little later. In Parshas Tzav, b'makam asher tishachet ha'oila, tishachet achatas. In the place where you shech the oila, that's where you shech the challah. We don't need this whole pasuk. So halamaza yatza. So why do we have this specific pasuk that a sar of a nasi, a chatas of a nasi, that he has to shecht it on the north? We know it from the general rule that all chatas is on the north. So l'koivay, to establish shim leishachad leisibitzafin paslay, that if you don't slaughter it on the north, it's pasul. A lot of times we have this, that if it's repeated, it's liyakiv.
It's loy akiv or
It's li'akiv.
Li'akiv,
Li'akiv.
right?
If it's repeated,
Li'akiv.
it says an extra time, it means that it affects the validity of it. So, ata oimer lekach yotzis. You say that that's the reason why it says it specifically that it needs to be on the north. Maybe it's coming to tell me differently. Maybe it's coming to tell me that only this chatas needs tzafan, but the other chatas don't need tzafan. Maybe it's coming to push away all the other chatas from tzafan and say that we only have one chatas that's tzafan, which is the sar of the nasi. Talmud Laimar, so we bring in a third pasuk. V'shachet es chatas b'makim asher yishachet es ha'oila. There's two versions here. What it's supposed to be? There's two pasukim. It's either Vayikradal Chavtes or Vayikradal Lamed Gimel, whichever. But we have a third pasuk that tells me that Zebnei Av. This is a source that L'kol Chatay Shetunis Tzafin. Okay. So far we don't have the question yet. We just know that all chatas need tzafin, and we know that a chatas of a nasi is pasul if it's not on the tzafin. But Ravad Barava or Kedi are asking time at the kas of Rachmana. The reason why I know that all chatas is tzafin is because the pasuk says v'shachet es chatas, that you have to slaughter it. Halav hachi. But if I would not have that third pasuk, the last pasuk that we quoted, hava amina shezet ton tzafin ve'nachet ton tzafin, I would have thought that only the chatas of the nasi needs tzafin. Why? My taima. Why only the chatas of the nasi? Lav mishum davi klal prat. It must be because we were understanding that it would be a klal prat, that one pasuk says that all chatas we have a general, and then we have a specific of a chatas of a nasi. And we would say that maybe it's coming to teach me that only the chatas of the nasi. Why? Because klal prat. And ein bechlal al mashe befrat. Even though one is in Parshas Vayikra and one is in Parshas Tzav, we will still do a klal prat, even though they're meruchakim. This is the question on the answer of Rav Turiki. Rav Turiki was explaining that why I don't say that baking a mincha is the only one that you get malchus for. Why don't I say that's a klal prat? And we said, Rav Turiki said that because it's meruchakim. Just 1 second. I have another case that's meruchakim, and you see that you do say meruchakim. So, V'afagavdim chakim zem said, don't I say a klal prat? So, Maskefla Rav Ashi. Rav Ashi asks, "Hi klal pratu. This is a klal prat." Now, I when I was telling this to you, I was vague specifically. I just said that one is in Vayikra and one is in Tzav, but I didn't tell you which one. So now you're going to see the truth. Hi klal pratu. Pratu klalu. It's the opposite. The parsha of the nasi is in Vayikra. In the general rule is in Tzav.